Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Ahsan Uthman Zahid from Quba Islamic Institute in Houston, Texas. First of all, I wanted to thank all of you who were concerned about us and give you an update on our status. Around 5 a.m. this morning, we had a fire break out in the third of our 3 buildings. Within that building was housed our materials, our computers, our monitors, our lights, and everything that we were going to use for our renovation project. But the fire was so destructive, it completely destroyed everything. Everything that was in the building,
Our
and even the
department
roof
is still here
falling.
at the scene, but they have almost completely put that fire out. When they arrived, there were flames, they told us, shooting through the roof of the Quba Islamic Institute here in Southeast Houston. Let's get to those aerial video shots if we can. When they arrived, like I said, there were flames shooting through the roof. The entire building where the flames started is destroyed. We're told it's a complete loss.
The Council on American-Islamic Relations is calling for an investigation into whether a fire at an Islamic worship center was the result of a hate crime. The fire happened early this morning at the Islamic Institute on FM 1959 in Southeast Houston. Channel 2's Philip Mena is there now, where investigators spent all day looking into the cause. Philip?
Well, tonight the investigation is still not complete, so fire officials are not ready to tell us that it was arson. However, Islamic leaders here say they have been told by investigators that this fire was started intentionally. Worship continued Friday evening at the Quba Islamic Center, despite a fire destroying one of their buildings earlier in the day. Called to the Islamic Institute on FM 1959 around 5:30 Friday morning. A large storage building on the property completely destroyed. Late Friday evening, Houston fire officials told us there was still no official cause, but local Islamic leaders say investigators told them they did have an idea how the fire started.
Before they left, they gave us some information and they said that it was an incendiary fire. It was set ablaze intentionally.
And a spokesperson for the Council on American-Islamic Relations, or CARE, tells Channel 2 investigators told her that gasoline was found at the scene.
It is a little bit disconcerting because we've been here for 2 years. We've never really had any issues with anyone. No one has ever come forward and expressed any types of animosity or hatred towards us. Out of this tragedy, a way for us to get closer and a way for us to build bridges rather than destroy them as some people would rather have it to be.
Islamic leaders say they have received some disparaging comments today from a few people, but they were all online. He says that the majority of people from all different religions have been extremely supportive. In fact, he says several Christian churches have reached out to him and offered him financial help if they need it. Reporting live tonight in Southeast Houston, Philip Mena, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
It lit up the dark skies early this morning. This building in Southeast Houston ablaze.
This is like my second home, you know? I come here, like, most of my day is spent here.
What burned was a building in the back of the Quba Islamic Institute, a storage building filled with books, renovation supplies, and furniture. There were no injuries. Houston fire officials say it started around 5 in the morning and that the cause is under investigation. But Zahid says he spoke with the arson investigator about preliminary results.
They said their dog went through, he hit on some substances inside the place. And he said from what I see right now, at this point, he said that I have to say that it was an incendiary fire, which means that it was started on purpose. And that's all we can go on at this point. We don't want to speculate.
Though we don't know officially if the cause was accidental or deliberate, the FBI is now monitoring the situation. The assistant imam said they found a vandalized smashed table on their property this morning, and that just last night someone had driven by screaming mocking chants. He also said earlier this week a masked man had been lurking around the institute and had to be chased off the property.
We've had some incidents in the past couple of days where we had suspicious individuals with their faces covered, or one person in particular with his face covered. It was going back to the side of the building.
But despite the loss, institute leaders are still keeping smiles on their faces.
It is a sad thing, but at the same time, there has to be some wisdom behind every action that happens. And so we look at it in a positive way. So if it is gone now, that means we can build something better in the future.
Fire engulfs part of an Islamic community center. But the big question being asked this morning, was it an accident or something worse?
Good morning. Yes, the Houston Fire Department was out here until about 10 or 15 minutes ago. Just a few investigators linger in the area. It's important to note that the main portions of these buildings that members here use day to day were not damaged, but let me show you what was damaged. Behind the 2 main buildings, there is a wood frame, metal-sided storage building. That is what went up in flames.
community center means a lot to me and my kids.
Members of the Quba Islamic Institute stood watching federal investigators do their work this morning, trying to find out how a fire started here in the hour before sunrise.
My actual kids, I just dropped them off at school. When I showed them the pictures, they started crying.
Sky IHD was over the scene as flames ate away at a building on the back of the property, which members tell us was only used for storage. Those who showed up for morning prayer were saddened by what greeted them. The mosque and school at the front of the property intact, but they are feeling a sense of anxiety.
So the first thing we think about is hate crimes possibly that could go on. Because, you know, it says right on the sign, Quba Islamic Institute. We're not hiding ourselves.
Imam Zaid Abdullah says just Wednesday morning he saw a suspicious man walking on the property. And then last night,
my son was passing by here. Somebody was sitting in a white ram here, and making mockery and chanting and saying some Arabic phrases.
Still, each person we talk to says they want to hear what investigators find in that damaged building.
We don't want to blame anyone. We want to, get a full investigation, see what's going on.
Now, an Islamic Center in Houston's southeast side has been damaged by a fire. Investigators are trying to determine whether the fire was an arson or not. And no injuries have been reported in the blaze that erupted before morning prayers on Friday in a storage area of the Quba Islamic Institute mosque and school. Officials at the institute said investigators told them that the fire was intentionally set. Now, Muslim worshippers have described the incident as particularly troubling after the Chapel Hill attack that left 3 Muslim students dead. The Council on American-Islamic Relations is calling on state and federal authorities to investigate the fire as a possible hate crime.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and hello from Quba Islamic Institute. My name is Ahsan Uthman Zahid. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of the hundreds and hundreds of people who have been so supportive of us through Facebook, who have posted beautiful comments of love and harmony and solidarity and support. We've had support from Brazil, from Bosnia, from Tokyo, Japan, from Germany, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from all different parts of the world, from almost every state in the United States. And so many different people, from people that are of the Christian faith, the Jewish faith, those who consider themselves to be atheists. All of you have, many of you have expressed your concern, expressed your solidarity, expressed your support. And we cannot tell you how much your words mean to us and how much they are helping us rebuild. What we have lost in that building in the back is just material things. But these words that you have given us, they are priceless. And they allow us to give us the strength to move forward, to pick up the pieces and make something better. And I would definitely like to acknowledge those people who have offered support not only, but also given support in terms of giving us donations through our website. We thank you so much. Whether it is $1, whether it is $100 or $1,000, we cannot thank you enough for your support. It's something that we did not expect to be receiving so much support and so quickly from so many people, from so many different faiths. And we are just floored by the response, and we really are very, very grateful to all of you. And one last thing I would like to say is that I have been notified, I guess you could say, by a few of people who share my beliefs that I am being a little bit too pacifist in this, being too forgiving in this whole episode. I will leave you with the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is such that when he started his mission and started preaching to the people, that very first time that he went to people to preach to them, and all he wanted to tell them was to believe in one God, nothing else. He didn't ask for money, he didn't ask for gold, he didn't ask for wealth, he didn't ask for status or honor or love from the people. He said, just believe that there is one God. And when he went to the people to give them that statement and to let them come towards God, they stoned him, and so badly that he started bleeding profusely. They ran him out of town. And it was asked to him by Gabriel, Jibreel alayhi salam, if you allow me, the archangel, God has given powers to his angels, if you allow me to crush these people for what they have done to you, I would do it. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though he had been harassed and persecuted and stoned and ran out of his own town by his own people, whom should have loved him but had attacked him, he said, I do not want anything to happen to them. They do not deserve any type of retribution. So that is why we have that pacifist, I guess you could say, quote-unquote pacifist feeling. We follow the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the best thing to follow. We follow his example. We know that someone has wronged us, and it is possible that someone has wronged us, but we forgive, we forget, we move forward. That does not mean that that person who committed that crime does not deserve justice for what they have done, but that means that we will not
hold hate within our hearts for them for having committed an action, perhaps allegedly against us. We forgive, we forget, and we move forward. Because in the grand scheme of things, if we were to go in front of God and God decided, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided not to forgive us, then He would be perfectly fine in doing so, because we sin day and night. But God forgives all sins. And it is up to us to be godly as much as possible, to follow the example of God, to follow the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to forgive and to forget, to move forward, to call for peace and harmony at a time when too much blood has been shed, when too many people have died, when too many people have been hurt. And this is the message that I want to give to you from everybody at Quba Islamic Institute. We want to thank you for your support. We want to thank you sincerely from the very bottom of our hearts, and let you know that we had you in our prayers, we had you in our thoughts, we had you in our minds, we had you in our hearts, and we will remember you forever for what you have done for us. Thank you all very much. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
حياتي وجنتي انت عيوني وبسمتي حبك شعاع.
Hi, how are you? All right. I hope we didn't bother you guys.
We'll be all right. We'll be a little bit. We got a little meeting we're going to. والشعر من حبك يسير.
Okay. Nice job. Anything we can do, we will be always. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you guys very much. Nice to meet you guys. It's going to be good. All right. Good for you guys. 35, 35.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Absolutely. Y'all play basketball a lot or not?
Can we take a picture with you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to do that?
Yeah.
You want?
Yeah, we'll bring our
المدح فيه حقك قليل، المدح فيه حقك قليل.